Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy. This is the Casio Oceanus wristwatch, OCW-S100 something or another. I'll put the model number in there. But I've owned this little guy for about a year now, and it's spent a lot of time on my wrist. And it is still a spectacular gem. It's still a really nice watch and one that I do recommend. But as is always the case, when you wear something or use something for a long time, some things become more beautiful than ever, and some things start to bug you a little bit more. So today, in my follow-up, I just want to talk a little bit about which is which. So the list of things that are more beautiful than ever, the first of them, and perhaps the primary, is that this watch is just so damned easy. Because it sets itself every night using a radio signal from the atomic clock, it auto-sets, it's always accurate. It auto-adjusts, so daylight savings time or a leap second or something like that. It always has the proper date in the little window there. This is so easy. And given that it's also charging off of solar, you really have to do nothing to this watch. You just leave it on the windowsill or even in a reasonably dark light room, and it'll be ready to go in 3 years if you take it off the shelf. That's such a nice little thing, and coming off of the mechanical world, that was such a relief to go back to that again. So that's nice. Speaking of things that are very nice, traveling with this watch is beautiful. If I pull the crown out here, you'll see that it's pointing right now at NYC, and that little chapter ring you can see around the outside there. Let's say I were to fly to Denver, which is 2 hours back. All I need to do is move the second hand back by 2 clicks so that it points at Denver. Suddenly my hour hand is moved, but my second hand is unaffected. When I go back, it's still right where it was. So I haven't lost any accuracy, but I'm now in a new time zone. And on my way home, I just think, one too far, and it'll readjust. God, that's easy. Makes it very nice to fly with this little guy, because you never lose your accuracy. Like that very much. The loom on this watch is great. I said that before and I'll say it again. Wake up in the middle of the night and this loom is still, just charge it a little bit here, is still as bright as ever, which is just nice. The titanium on this watch, this entire watch is made of titanium, by the way, and it's held up surprisingly well. I mean, you can see there is a little scratch right here on the not so much bezel, I guess bezel, where I hit it off of something or another, and there are your usual marks and scratches on the bracelet here. Some desk diving marks, but compared to stainless, it's in the same sort of ballpark, and that's impressive because very often titanium watches scratch up like crazy. So I appreciate very much that that's not been the case here. And then finally, the titanium and the size of this watch make it disappear on your arm in a way that nothing else I've used has. I mean, there are relatively few small, sporty watches out there. I mean, compare this to even a recent Omega Seamaster here that I've been wearing. This guy is even smaller. So if you're in the small wrist contingent, this is really a great option, and there just aren't that many great options for you out there. So that's what's been really bringing me joy about this watch as I've worn it more and more. There are only 2 things about this watch that really bug me after wearing it for this long. I mentioned them both in the initial review, but if we look at the lugs here, we can see that this is using a weird proprietary lug. This portion right here is part of the bracelet. This portion is part of the bracelet, but this middle chunk right up here is actually a part of the watch itself. And that basically means that you can't put this guy on a strap, you can't put it on a NATO. You're only going to be able to wear this on the bracelet. That's not the end of the world. It's a very good bracelet, and it hasn't bothered me that much, but compared to watches which have that flexibility, it is a little bit frustrating. The other thing that bugs me a little bit is the indices. If we look at the indices here, as well as the second hand, we can see that there are these blue facets and blue accents to them. I mean, you can see these little shining surfaces. Instead of being a nice polished silver, they're this blue color, and it's kind of a metallic-y. I don't know if it's like a Swarovski crystal they put some lume on or what, but whatever it is, it looks a little bit toy-like, is the only way I can put it. I mean, if we put this guy right up next to this Omega here, which has fully polished indices, this one looks a lot less professional. It looks a lot less jewelry. It looks a lot less, I don't know. And so, in whatever snobbish way for me, those blue accents kind of drive me crazy. I really do wish that they'd gone with a high polish sort of silver finish on those instead of the blue. That's absolutely 100% shallow, but it does bug me a little bit, and it does make this watch dress up a little bit less well than some of your other options, even like your Omega here. So, those are the only two things that really bother me a little bit more than when I got it. Look, the end result here is that this is still one heck of a shining gem. There were other watches that have been getting more wrist time for me lately, and I'll admit that's just because I'm a pretentious jackass. For me, this Omega Seamaster here has been kind of winning the day, but that's not because it's a better wristwatch in the horological sense. It's not solar. It's not radio controlled. It doesn't have some of the features I was just talking about. But it feels like a little bit more substantial, which I've come to realize I like because it's steel rather than titanium, and it's got more of that jewelry feeling, and I'm just pretentious enough, I guess, that matters to me. But this is still absolutely a stellar watch, and it is still absolutely worth doing. If you don't feel the need to go up at that slightly more formal level, you are going to love this. This is a spectacular, spectacular watch, and it's a great example of what is possible when you truly embrace what quartz can do for you in a timepiece. So this is a watch I still highly recommend. Check it out if you're interested. Do it. I will not send you away from it. And the only case in which it might not be the best choice is if you're a little bit pretentious as well. I hope this has been interesting for you. I hope that you love your Oceanus if you pick one up. But mostly, I hope that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.